You're listening to Oh My Health, There Is Hope podcast.
When your heart is aching and your world is shaking, don't give up. No, no, don't give up.
Hello and welcome to Oh My Health, There Is Hope, the podcast. I'm your host, Jana Short, and today I'm here with a very special guest. I'm going to try and say her name and not slaughter it because I've been practicing Edyta.
This is perfect.
Close.
This is
Edyta
perfect.
Satchell. Edyta, I know I was saying it wrong because it's Edyta, is an America's travel wellness and beauty expert. Who knew there was such a thing? I'm telling you, ladies, there is. She is a certified integrative nutritional health coach, a renowned corporate travel executive, speaker, and wellness practitioner. She helps thousands of women to look and feel their absolute best before, during, and after travel, so they can have beauty, confidence, productivity, and success by creating highly customized beauty itineraries that correspond with their trips and addresses the source of their suffering that is driven by the skin type, climate, trip destination, and dietary restrictions. Oh my gosh, I have been dying to have you on because I am a world traveler. And for those of you who maybe haven't traveled like I have, it's a thing. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited. Welcome to the show.
Jana, thank you very much for having me. And, you know, as much as you are excited, I'm even more excited to be with you because you are supporting so many amazing ladies. I love it.
We try. We definitely try. I want to talk to you a lot about so many things, but before we start the show, we always ask our guests to share a story of hope. And so do you want to share your story of hope with us?
You know, hope is an abbreviation, right? Or not. My abbreviation is help one person every day. So HOPE, right? Help one person every day. So I'm pretty sure all of us, we have a lot of different stories and so on. But you know what? I want to start with me because help one person every day. Even if we help others, we forget about helping ourselves. And this is where I was years ago when I was a busy, frequent traveler, busy executive, traveling like crazy everywhere. I didn't have my beauty routine. I didn't have my health routine. I didn't have my, youthfulness routine. And I didn't help myself, right? So if we are practicing hope, which is, in my definition, help one person every day, let's start with ourselves. That's what I want to say.
I think that is a beautiful story of hope, and I love it. And it gives me lots of time to dive into everything that you do. I'm just going to say before you get started, I travel a lot. And as I age, it gets harder. And I want to not spend a ton of money to go on a trip and then be exhausted, cranky, like not feeling like myself because I'm out of my environment, my element. And what you're doing is phenomenal. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
So every person who travels, especially frequent travelers, or even when you travel once a year, but it's a trip of your life. You are getting married, you are celebrating a success or whatever you do, right? What I do, actually, I take a look because I have 20 years of the travel industry. So I know it all. When it comes to travel, I take a look at your itinerary just to make the long story short. And I analyze every single item on your travel itinerary. And I create a beauty and wellness itinerary that corresponds with your travel itinerary, which is focused on things like nutrition, your beauty routine, everything, alcohol intake, it's important. And it's in the 3 dimensions. It's in the before your travel, during your travel, on the plane and in destination, and when you come home.
I think that's amazing because I super stress out before I travel because I don't like being trapped on a plane. So I stress out. Do I take enough things? What am I going to do? For my beauty routine, honestly, I don't wear a lot of makeup, but when I pack, I find that I pack a lot and a lot of stuff I probably don't even need. But if I were, let's just say I was going to, I don't know, Peru. I loved Peru and the elevation's completely different than ours. The air is completely different. Food's completely different. Before the trip, what were some of the things that you would maybe help me with?
So the very first thing when I say before, it's not even the one day before. You know what's very important when you are planning? It's the moment you have that idea in your head, you want to travel somewhere. And the moment you know where you are going, and then the moment you're in the process of booking your flight, your seat on the plane, this is where it all starts. Your meal on the plane, this is where I come in and help people with that, right? Because to make them realize, you know, if many times if you are thinking, oh, before travel, so it means 2 hours prior to my flight, right, Edyta? No, you know, the whole before starts with the moment you are actually looking on your computer, searching for the flight, searching for the right airline, for the right price, for the right, you know, aircraft type. We don't even pay attention to it. There are different air filtrations where we have to pay attention to where we sit on the plane, you know, all sorts of different things of that type. And of course, a day before, it's your beauty routine, it's your hydration. What do you eat matters. What you drink matters, you know, all those things. Yes.
I think you're absolutely right. When we book a flight, I literally pick specific seats. I pick specific plane types. I like make sure I don't have big long layovers because it's exhausting. I just, I want to get there. So I do pay attention to all of that, but maybe not as early on as I should. So I think having someone giving you that routine to get you started and have a fun trip. But I also think you need to be flexible because I happen to know when you travel, a million things go wrong. A million things can go wrong and they do go wrong. And I'm not going to let that wreck my trip. So I have to have a good plan so that I have a successful trip, but I have to learn to be flexible too.
Very much so, all of us, right? And it's the flexibility depends on your transit, how much time you have in transit. It's your flexibility depends on the destination you go to, right? Different country entry requirements. Now we have additional things we have to think about, like the COVID tests, wearing masks or not, right? I mean, different things, but absolutely you have to be flexible, right?
You definitely have to, because when you travel, from the minute you step into the airport, everything truly is out of your control. I mean, you can say yes or no, but things happen and change. And I might have my heart set on a very specific seat and I get on the plane and for some reason it's been changed, which has happened to me before. And I've learned to be like, okay, I'm okay. I have to be okay with that. So you have to be okay with some changes on your flight, being flexible, but also I can't leave this house without having a detailed plan. So I get the most out of my vacation as possible.
That's right. That's right. You see, when we plan, you know, when we have a business trip or leisure or whatever vacation, what do? The first thing we think of is like, what kind of clothes will I wear? Right? It's like, what kind of jewelry, you know, accessories and other things. But we don't think about things like, what's my beauty and health and wellness routine before, during, after, or in destination, right? Because I always split it between in destination and also on the plane. That is very important to understand the difference. It's huge. Difference huge.
Edyta, when you were first introduced to me, I had never heard of anyone doing what you do, and I travel all the time. And I was so excited. As she's written in our magazine, she is phenomenal. And I was so excited when I met her and talked to her because I'm like, why doesn't everybody know about this? Because it's so true. Like I used to spend my first days, and it's taken years to figure it out, of my trip either because of the time change and I didn't plan for that ahead, or, I have to eat different foods that my body's not used to processing. And I didn't think about that in advance. And the first 2 days were miserable to the point where my husband and I used to travel in 2 days early just to get adjusted so that we enjoyed when our trip started.
I feel your pain and I understand it because this is where I used to be. You know, I was miserable. I was tired. I had stomach problems. What happened to me was once I got sick on the way to the conference. But the problem was, when I arrived, as always, in the morning, because when you are on a business trip and the corporation pays for it, they don't care, right? I mean, it's usually the problem is that the person who books your flight in the corporate world doesn't travel. That's the problem number one, right? I was talking about that at some of the interviews I've done. And that's the major problem because that person doesn't understand frequent travelers. all the person is trained to is to save money for the corporate money, right? Travel funds. But with COVID and other things, I really hope there will be more visibility, and there are already new reports, when it comes to corporate travel and so on, how to take care of your employees who are frequently traveling. And like I said, I was that person. I got sick. I ended up presenting to 100 people without a makeup on. So for a busy executive lady, it's awful, isn't it? I mean, it's absolutely terrible, horrifying, and everything else when you are standing in front of 20 people, when you are there without your makeup on. I was sweating. It was like almost up and down, the problem. I'm not going into details, but but things happen, and this is the lack of routine. This is the being tired, not having enough sleep, and not eating properly, and other things. And the body finally gave up, and I said to myself, there must be a better way. And I started, I got certified. I'm a certified health coach, and I started doing the things that I'm doing, working on those travel, health, wellness, beauty itineraries. That's how I call them. It's my program is called Go with the Glow.
Oh my gosh, I love that. By the way, again, that's a thing. How many of you have been on a beautiful trip that you paid a fortune to go on, and you're looking at your pictures and you look exhausted and haggard out and tired, especially if you're going with a tour group, because that's not your schedule. They tell you where to be, when to be, and you're there or they leave you. So it's a lot. Now, honestly, when I go and I look at pictures now, and I think a lot of it's because I just don't care. Let them leave me. I'll get a cab, like whatever. But whatever it is, I look so much more relaxed. I look like I'm in the moment, enjoying myself and not worried about what the next thing is or what I may have forgotten. So what are some maybe big mistakes we're making while we're traveling that are, hurting us or taking away from the joy of our trips?
So I will tell you the biggest mistake that we make is we drink alcohol when we are 35,000 feet above sea level. This is a huge no-no. So whoever is listening and is planning his or her, her trip in future, this is just keep in mind, Jana and Edyta, we said so. There is no such thing like drinking champagne or other things. Alcoholic beverages 35,000 feet above sea level. Why? Because our body goes through something which we call hypoxia, which is a limited ability to absorb oxygen. And that's what's happening on the plane. And that's what's happening there. And there is nothing we can do about that. That's one thing. Alcohol has a diuretic effect. We will start running to the bathroom. Because of that hypoxia and everything what's happening there, if you consume one alcoholic beverage, a cocktail, whatever it is, you may feel drunk like you consumed 2 or 3 on the ground. So I always talk about this. I will give you my tip. One of the key tips is when you want to, enjoy your favorite, whatever, whiskey martini, whatever it is, right? Do it on the plane, but before the takeoff. This is when I enjoy my champagne, my glass of champagne when I travel in business class. So, or of course, between the flights, if you are in a business lounge, or when you get to the hotel, of course, or home, that's the time to do it.
So I got to be really honest with you. I did not know any of that. And I order alcohol, like before we even take off in business class, you can have a drink while you're seated on the plane before takeoff. And I'm like, yeah, bring it on. I had no idea that alcohol, I did know you get drunk faster in the air. They said like one drink could be like having 3. And so I know that you do get drunk faster, but seriously, that's why I was drinking on the plane. But I had no idea that it can affect us that way.
It does. And you know what? Think about that. Because it has a diuretic effect, you run to the bathroom on the plane. Another thing which is very important to remember is the humidity is so low. It's at the level of 20%, but the normal humidity is 60, 80%, right? So if the humidity is so low, the air needs to get that, moist or, hydration from someone. It takes out from us, from our skin, from our body. So when you are sort of from inside, you are going to the restroom, right, to do, use the bathroom, right? Then, from the outside, your skin, the water is sort of evaporating from you. So really, truly, you have to hydrate all the time and try to avoid, any alcoholic beverages when you are on the plane up high, because of that very reason, because that, again, not only the hypoxia thing, but also the slow humidity that sucks you dry, basically. That's what it is.
We're going to be freeze dried, basically. I love that. And again, I did not know any of that. What are some of the tips maybe we can do for when I travel? I get swollen, like I swell.
Oh, yeah.
And especially on long flights, I can feel it. I can feel my fingers and my feet and everything swelling.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things is we have to understand, before we have a solution, we have to understand what causes the whole situation, right? Because if you don't want to treat something, you have to treat the root cause. We swell because of the environment. So sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. But most of the time we swell because we ate something.
Yeah.
All the salty stuff, all the snacks, the pretzels, the peanuts, the chips, other things is a huge no. That's why I talk about it, the before, the during, and after travel, because even if you consume salty things, heavy, greasy, what's the name of it? French fries, which I don't do, right? Burgers, before the flight, it's not the right thing. You are sitting on the plane, you are feeling bloated. How many times, and let me ask you this, because how many times when you get off the plane, you feel like, oh my God, this is such a fresh air. And on the plane, the air wasn't fresh. People naturally pass gas on the plane, only because the reason is because, the environment, but the reason why is they eat the wrong things. But this is lack of awareness, right? We don't know about that. And now people have dietary restrictions. So they eat the things that they are being served. They don't know they can order a special meal, right?
Right.
It's another thing that helps them. That's why the airlines have those special meals, right? So, and they eat whatever they are being given, and then there are surprises, they poop, they are bloated, they are feeling, they have a stomach cramp. I used to have stomach cramps and I didn't know why. To such a degree that I had to almost lay down, and I just didn't know why. And now I know it's the pretzels, it's the salty stuff. So let's cure the root cause first before we do anything else. But trust me, 90% of the issue is actually the food we are eating. And of course, in the environment we are in, right?
I love this episode. I think it's amazing. I'm learning so much. So what's another maybe don't do when you're traveling? It doesn't necessarily have to, I know people go on long cruises that have all kinds of trouble. They overeat, they don't get the right exercise, there's a lot that goes on when you travel. But what are some other tips that maybe we're not aware of?
One thing which is very important for people who want to look beautiful, I call this looking picture ready. Look at the climate to the destination you travel to. Look at the climate. Look at, the climate you live in, where you are. You may be in a very dry. Look at the skin type. So you have to make that combination and determine what do you use. And I'll give you a simple example. My skin is oily and I'm living in the Washington, D.C. area. So, it's a normal thing. What I do, I try to avoid the production of, too much sebum, the oiliness, the shiny, whatever face, right? So I'm using the products that will prevent me from producing, let's say the sebum, the oiliness. But when I travel to India, I have to have a totally different set of beauty products because the air in India is super dry. It will dry my skin. So if I use a product whose job is to dry my skin in the very dry environment, it's a total disaster for your skin, for your well-being, for your mental health. You are stressed out, you have a big event, you have to meet clients, you have to do other things, and you have no product to use. You don't speak the language, you have no time to do shopping, and you are totally unprepared, although you packed so much and probably overpacked, right?
Right. By the way, I have a friend who is a model and she travels all over the world for shoots, and they literally do exactly what you do. And they give her a list. These are things you don't eat 2 weeks prior, 1 week prior. This is what you're going to do when you get there. We'll have this product for you when you get there, because it's in so many different places. And think about it. If your whole job is to show up looking fresh and awesome on camera, and you're bloated and puffy and your eyes are swollen, and your skin looks awful when you get there. So they do plan it. They tell you, this is what you have to eat. Stay away from these foods. This is what you need to do before you get on that plane. And they will do 2 weeks out.
That's what it should be. That's the right way of doing this. Absolutely. Yes.
I think that is so fascinating. So when we get to our destination, and even before we get to our destination, we're planning all that packing other than clothes. Cause I always feel like this because I'm a shopper. And so if I forgot it, I'll buy it. It's not that big a deal, right? If I get there and I really needed a heavier coat, I'll buy a heavier coat. But not everybody has that kind of luxury. But what are some of the things that we need to remember to pack that we're not, other than it's super important to take medications, be sure you carry them on board, and be sure you take more than just your trip. So the only medication I take is something called Lovenox. They're injectables that I have to give in my stomach twice a day. And I always make sure I have an extra week, because what if something happened? What if there was a delay? What if, I don't know, my husband broke his leg and we're delayed a week? That is something that is literally, I have to have every day. So I always bring the amount that I'm going to be gone plus an extra week just in case. And I will always ask for prescriptions just in case I'm stuck even longer.
Which is the right thing to do. Many people forget to actually, because we are going through electronic and touchless and everything else, do not forget to have a copy of your passport and important documents with you. People keep forgetting about that, and this is super important. Has to be with you. Essential oils, very important. A lot of people are scared to travel. They are nervous, especially now during COVID, post-COVID, and so on, right? During travel on the plane, you can use them, right? They will help you to sleep. You have products you can spray on your little pillow when you are, traveling, and so on. Will put you to sleep on the plane if you have anxiety of traveling right now. Another thing I talk about is a body thermometer. You look how many things, a body thermometer, yes. You know why? Because I had a very unpleasant situation that happened to me when I traveled last year during COVID. My body temperature was taken at the airport in Washington, D.C., and I was in business class, so I was the first one to get off the plane, and there was like 5 different tables, 5 different people waiting for us to take the examination, they took our temperature and they said, "Ma'am, your body temperature is elevated." I said, "Oh my God." I started to sweat. I was red. I looked around. Everybody heard this news. And there was no privacy, intimacy. There was nothing. It was all of this. And I'm thinking, I have COVID? You know what I mean? That was the first sort of reaction and things. But you see, I was sitting by the window. My body temperature was naturally elevated. I was stressed out because, someone is supposed to do some kind of a medical examination. We didn't know what to expect. So my body temperature, because of even the stressful situation, was elevated. So rest assured, when I went to pick up my luggage from the carousel, there was no one standing next to me,
I love that.
People were
So
afraid.
what other things should we bring to prepare for those trips? Like, I just think that this is so fascinating because I used to travel and I honestly was so unprepared. It was miserable. I was running to the store, spending tons of money, buying things that I didn't think about bringing. And I don't do that anymore, but I've been traveling for years, like on a regular basis. So I've figured it out through the process of elimination and mistake. I wish I had you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Always have, when you have your hand luggage, in your hand luggage, have the essentials, like a little makeup. What if your luggage, the check-in luggage is lost, but you have an important event, right? And you arrived in the morning, now you have to go there. You don't have time to shop. Have a little set or, something that you can quickly refresh that you will be using on the plane as well. The mini, travel sizes or other things that you can have on the plane. That's very important. I always talk about, especially when I traveled with my daughter, a set of clothes. Someone will push you, something will spill on you, at least like a shirt. Because when you travel, different things happen and it may not be your fault, maybe someone else's fault, but what will you do? Kill that person who sits next to you, who, just his hand or her hand was shaking when she was enjoying that, champagne. There's nothing you can do about that. And especially those are the things that you really keep in mind when you do it. Many times you can take a shower when you are in transit, when you are at the airport. When I travel to Europe, I go very frequently through Frankfurt and I shower there. So think about things that you can take with you when you want to refresh. You have a few hour layover. Think about items that you can take with you when you are taking a shower, right? I mean, many places are providing providing towels and other things, but there may be something very personal to you. Um, and also many people have allergies, skin allergies, skin conditions. They cannot use someone else's, product. So you can use your own ones, definitely to something to remember about.
I am so excited. So if somebody was traveling, so I'm going to, I don't know, Europe, and it's maybe my first time. How do they connect with you to find out all this great stuff? And how does that look like because you want to do it before you travel, right? Definitely before the week you travel. So you have a time to create this beautiful itinerary for them. And that process is prior to travel, during your travel, and in your travel space, right?
And when you come home.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, when you
More.
come home, it's about hydration, vitamins, minerals, and other things. You can find me on my website, which is editasatchell.com, my first name, my last name. Take a look because I've been on TV quite a lot in the last, I don't know, 10 weeks, 20 times, talking about travel tips and other things. And I have to tell you, I want to tell everyone, I do not have a PR person. I do not have a PR company. I'm just saying that, right? Because many people think like, oh, she has a good PR company. I do not. I do not have a PR company. So just an FYI. And stations are coming and asking, and I support everyone. And so start with editasatchell.com. You will find my contact details there. My company name is satchelleglobal.com. And you can find some of my programs on that website too. But definitely start with my online courses, which are available on my website, where you can see it's all about the before, the during, and after travel. Start with that, and it's a good starting point. And then, which are very inexpensive, actually, very inexpensive. And then come and join and contact me and tell me I need more help. I'm happy to help.
Well, I'm definitely going to join. I literally am traveling June, I'm traveling July, I'm traveling August, September, October. Like now that we're back to traveling, I am getting the heck out and traveling. So I will definitely be contacting you and following your classes because I'm getting older, right? And so it takes a lot more to travel in a healthy state when you're getting older. Like you need more, your body needs more support. Your immune system needs more support, so I definitely will be contacting you for that because I think it's fascinating.
Please do, please do. I would love to be able to support you and, of course, your friends and family and people who are listening. We all need support. All need help, right? And sometimes we just, I was talking to someone and someone said, and I said, do you think your friend? No, someone told me, Edyta, no one ever asked me about it. I said, how do you know that they don't need it? Because they may not even know that such thing exists, that kind of service exists. And how do they know? And now, we are all getting ready to travel. We're traveling again on business, on leisure. People are exhausted. We don't want to be at home anymore, right? I'm going June next month. I'm going to Europe. I will be in Europe for 2 months as well, and traveling within Europe too. So I'm super excited because I want to go back to travel and enjoy my family time with my family in Europe and friends, right?
We all do want to get back to travel and back to some normalcy, and it's happening. It's literally happening. So I'm so excited. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really want to have you back because I just feel like we just touched the tip of the iceberg. So I definitely want to have you back, especially since everyone is out traveling now. I want you to travel healthy, safely, and I really want you to enjoy when you get there and not be completely stressed out because of something you could have handled before. So thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Jana, for having me. It is amazing. And I love the fact I've been in your magazine, and it's amazing. I mean, you are amazing, and what you are doing is really helping all of us. And, there are not a lot of people like you. So
thank you so much. Thank you. So thank you. And we're going to put all of her links, everything to connect with her in the show notes so that you can grab them and connect very easily. And if you have travel coming up, you're definitely going to want to connect with her. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Oh My Health, There Is Hope podcast. Make sure to visit Jana's website, bestholisticlife.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play, or listen there so you'll never miss an episode. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you simply tell a friend about the show, that'll help too. Let's change the world together, one health expert at a time. Looking forward to seeing you next time.